I've been doing a series of a book that I want to write, and it's Parenting from a Narco Mindset. As I mentioned before, so many times I am asked, how did I raise so many successful children, especially when the fact that I was in prison for 10 years of their lives, 3 broken marriages, 4 broken homes. The truth of the matter is that one of the main points why I was able to be so successful is because I was very proactive in the life of my children. See, one of the problems that we find in America is that America is the greatest country in the world at being reactive. When a problem happens, we know how to fix it. So if our child becomes a drug addict, we find the first best rehab that there is. If our marriage is broken or is falling apart, then we go to counseling. Truth is, we don't stop to realize that many of those things can be avoided, if not all. What do I mean by that? Well, the truth is that as we look at life, if we are very, very involved in the life of our children, and we know as the experience that we have had throughout life, so many of the challenges that they face and so many of the obstacles that they will cross, we begin to address them. See, for me, what is critical is to have dinner as a family, because at dinner time, we talk about the problems that our children are having. I call my children constantly because I want to know what they're dealing with. It doesn't matter how old they are. To me, they'll always be babies. So before anything happens to any of my children, then, I begin to address it. So how do I address some things? Well, number one, I watch the company that they keep. Number two, I can tell when any of my children is depressed or feeling lonely or dealing with anxiety. How can I tell? Well, it's very, very simple. You can see it. See, there's been numerous times when parents have come to me after the child has committed suicide, and they said, Dr. Valdes, I never saw it coming. Of course, what am I to say? I just feel so hurt for that person. My heart breaks. But deep down inside, I wanted to say, perhaps you were never looking. Because no child gets up in the morning and says, oh, what a beautiful day to commit suicide. That child is struggling with a lot of pain. And another thing that is very critical is, why do our children struggle with pain and they can't come to us as their father? It's perhaps because we haven't set up what I call coming clean with our children. We have never stopped to share with our children that we have made many, many mistakes in life and be specific about what they are. See, I share with my children that I was a drug dealer, that I was dealing with pornography. Not that I was addicted to watching movies, but in essence, it was the same. I just knew a lot of the porn actresses, and every day of my life, it was almost like there was an orgy. But I tell my children that, and people say, well, that's harsh. No, it's not harsh, because I know my children will struggle with that. I'm not naive. I know my children will struggle with the pressures of succeeding in life because their father has been very successful. But I let them know that in reality, his father was a failure. See, at the age of 40, I told my son one day, at the age of 40, son, I've had 3 broken marriages, 4 children that were not living with me. I spent 10 years in prison. I was a convicted felon. So, yeah, no, I was not a great success. I ended up succeeding in life because I worked very, very, very hard. I had tremendous faith. I sacrificed and I endured. And eventually it paid off. So I tell my children that success is just living a good life simply by being a good person and loving what you do. I don't care if they're janitors. I don't care what they are. As long as they're happy and they feel content. I tell my children, listen, no matter how much money you make in the world, if you hate what you're doing, it's almost like a prison sentence every time you go to work. But if you love what you do in life, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's never work. It's passion. So I'm very proactive in their lives by constantly telling them, opening up that place so that when they do go through those struggles, when they do go through, the challenges, and when they're dealing with anxiety or depression, whatever they might be dealing, they know their father has dealt with it, and they know their father has been there, and they know their father will not judge them. Now, that does not mean that their father is going to agree with whatever they decide that they want to do, or if I see them making a mistake. No, I'm going to tell them what I feel and how I feel and why I feel. And like I tell my children, listen, I don't know the things I know because I'm a genius. I just know because I lived a long life, probably a lot longer than many, many people ever imagined they would live. So I'm very, very proactive in the life of my children. And I'm constantly looking at their behavior, looking at who their friends are, saying no when I need to say no, setting parameters. See, our children want parameters. I tell my children, listen, I am not your friend. I am your father. You got a lot of friends. You only have one father. And sometimes the job of being a father is not an easy job. But it's a job that a father must choose either he's going to do it or not. Because you just cannot do it halfway. I see so many times parents trying to be friends to their children and trying to be like their children and trying to just say yes all the time. I believe a father says yes more than no. But I believe that we say yes more than no when our children know the parameters that they have. You know, I often tell parents, listen, why does a young man by the age of 12 kill somebody and takes an unbelievable beating so that he can belong to a gang that's going to have someone tell him 24 hours a day what to do? And that's how our children are, because they want to be led. They want to be formed. And yeah, they're going to rebel, and yeah, they're going to fight, and they're going to bicker. But at the end of the day, they want to know that they have a father who cares for them and loves them. Now, I just don't tell my children no for the heck of no. Whenever I tell my children no, I explain to them why I feel that no is the right thing to do, to tell them. It's very hard sometimes. And I mess up as a father. Thank God I have an amazing wife that fills in the blank whenever I screw up. But I am involved in the life of my children. My children know that one thing I've done, I've created a vision for their lives. I have been there full time as a dad for them for many, many, many years. And even when I was in prison, I made sure they were brought to me. And I spent times and hours talking to them. I would write letters to them. And I would make little crafts that we did in prison and send it to them, just so they would know that their father loved them and cared for them. See, I tell parents that are, or men that have children on the outside, there's a lot you can do to be involved in the life of your child. If nothing else, write to them. Tell them every day that you love them. Even if they don't want to see you, they'll get the letter, because children need to know that they are loved. See, I believe children will go where it's fun. They're only going to stay where they are loved. And as a father, a proactive father, we tell them all the time that we love them. I know so many parents that all they do is criticize their children. You know, make their children feel bad. In the last video that I did, I talked about the power of words. The power that words have on the life of our children. So the message today is be proactive. Don't wait to have to react. Sometimes we'll react because even when we are proactive, we end up being reactive to something because we just didn't see it coming. But it wasn't because we were not looking. So look, be involved. Have dinner as a family. Date your daughters. I dated my daughter. I took her on trips. I took her to the plaza. I had high tea with her. I let her know that she was special. I would take her to a theater. I would take her to a orchestra. And she would dress up. And she would make sure, I remember one time, she asked me one time, do I look pretty, Dad? She looked gorgeous. And you know what? It was so special to me. And I know that now that she's gotten in college, she's still going to remember that her dad did that. And that's very, very important for fathers to be involved in the life of their daughters and to talk to them and be frank and leave the door open. Come clean with your children. Create a safe place where they can come and share their pains and their struggles, knowing that you might say no, you might not agree, but you're not going to judge them, because that's what people are afraid when they are open up their lives to others. They're afraid to be judged. Why? Because immediately after judgment, what does it come? Condemnation, and nobody wants to be condemned. So fathers, today, my message to you is be proactive in the life of your children. Don't be reactive. Don't wait till something horrible happens for then you to show up. Be there. Put your phone down at 6 o'clock when you get home. Trust me, the world doesn't come to an end. I used to be addicted to that phone. But you know what happened? I realized one day I ran $1 billion empire without a cell phone, with a bag of quarters. So when I went home or when I went out on a date with my wife or a girlfriend, whatever, I didn't have a phone with me. So I urge you, put your phone down. Let your family know that you care for them and that they are the most important thing in your life. Work will wait. Trust me. The world doesn't end. And if whoever we're dealing with needs us that desperate, employee or a work associate or something like that, then we just haven't done a good job of teaching people. Because when I get home, the most important thing is my children, my wife. Took a long time. It almost took me almost losing my marriage over that. But I thank God that I finally learned. See, Cubans don't learn as easy as many people do. But we do learn eventually. And when I did, then I made it right. And today I do. I tell my children, if you have an emergency, call 911. I can do nothing for you. Trust me, everything can wait till the following day. So be proactive, love your children, create a safe place where they can come clean with you and share their pains and struggles. Our children have so many challenges today that it's amazing that they are alive and that they survive. Mental health is real. Let them know that. Because many of them will suffer anxiety and depression. And tell them that you will not judge them for that, but that you will do everything humanly possible you can to get them the help that they can have. And you'll research whatever you feel is the best manner for them to address that. You will trust the doctors. But again, you're not just going to let your children be on pills after pills after pill, because at the end of the day, then we're just creating a drug addict. So life is complex, my brothers and sisters and fathers. Life becomes a lot easier when you're proactive. Be blessed.